We'll start on our pea soup. Start by dicing up an onion, so let me just grab my cutting board here. Again, when we're cutting up this onion, we want to dice it nice and fine, so we're going to feather the onion first so that we can get a really nice fine dice on it. So when I say feathering the onion, it means that you start from one side and work your way all the way over to the other side, arcing your knife as you go through it. It'll give you even cut throughout the entire onion. We're gonna head on over to the fire there. We're gonna add some oil to the pot, add our onions and add our ham hock, and we'll let that sweat down as well. We're at the point when we're gonna add our meat. I choose 50-50 ground pork and beef. I like the flavor of beef in it, and the pork just adds a lot of moisture and fat to it. So just throw that in your pan. And we'll let that cook down until about 80%, and we'll add our potatoes to it. Make sure to give your beef and pork a little bit of a stir so that you cook it all over as opposed to just one big chunk, get it all mixed up in there. You want to break up your meat so that you have an even distribution of pork and beef. You want it in small pieces, you don't want it in big chunks, because when you're cutting your tourtière, you want to be able to cut it and have a very nice consistency to the entire piece. We'll give it a stir every couple minutes. Mix the onions and mushrooms in. Just have to make sure that when you're cooking your meat, you have it nice and even across the entire thing. Right now we have a hot spot at the back of the pan, so I just want to make sure that I'm moving the meat around in the pan so that I just cook it evenly. We're going to head on over to the fire. We're going to sweat down our onions in some canola oil again, and we're going to add our ham hock. It'll give it that nice smoky flavor that we're looking for in the pea soup. Just adding the oil to the pot. It's at perfect temperature. Get our onions in there. You'll hear a nice sizzle. That's how we know it's there. And we can throw in our ham hock. And just push that right back in there. So our meat is looking nice now. It's about 80% done. We're about ready to add our diced potatoes to it. Just give it a little stir just to make sure that it's nice and cooked through. Yeah, we're right there. Break up those big pieces in there. And we're about ready to add our potatoes. So I'll just start dicing those up. And we'll add our seasoning, our spices, and our meat's almost done. Okay, we're gonna start dicing our potatoes for the tourtière now. You want a relatively small cut on your potatoes so they cook through evenly. And they should only cook for about 10 minutes in the meat, and then we'll add them to our tourtière. Now the trick is when cutting up a potato is to take off a couple pieces and then turn it onto the flat side. That way the potato doesn't roll on you when you get to the smaller end and you don't end up cutting your finger. It's just safety precautions, you know? So now that our potatoes all diced up, we'll add it into our tourtière meat. It should only take about 10 minutes to cook, and then our tourtière meat will get seasoned. I like to use about 2% salt to the weight of the tourtière. So this is our spice mixture. This spice mixture, like I said, consists of cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, a little bit of pepper, coriander, and then just some regular sea salt. Add that into the meat. Get your seasoning in there. And a good pinch of salt here. So the salt is going to bring out a lot of the flavor in the meats. The spices, they give you this very aromatic smell to it. Now, part of eating is not just tasting the food, it's actually smelling it. And that's what's going to give you that great warm feeling when you're eating the tortillere. Our meat's done for our tortillere, so let's get that meat off the fire and we'll get started on our relish.